visitor is all I ask. A temporary companion to help me pass a few short hours of my lonely life. Thank you, Lord. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
I'm going to teach you. I'm going to show you how to walk, how to speak, how to move, how to think. Together, you and I are going to make the greatest single contribution to science since the creation of
The Phaedrus is the great lyrical masterpiece in the Platonic corpus. Of all the dialogues, this is the one you should read first because it's the most beautiful and it's the most moving. And this never goes out of style. This never gets stale. This is true forever.
I'm going in there. Bring me that candle.
I think it's Ralph Waldo Emerson that says that the earth is an insane asylum for crazy angels, and occasionally they lapse back into their former sanity and see what they could have been and what they once were. I think that's the idea here. In other words, that the human condition is a radically deprived condition, and that occasionally we see glimpses of what we once were and what we in the future could be, and that love somehow is the bridge between heaven and earth.
Love is the only thing that can save this poor creature.
Well, what happens is that we find out that sex is to the body what good, improving speech is to the soul. And Socrates is primarily concerned with soul sex. In other words, he's interested in speech, the sort of speech that improves the other by improving their soul, and by improving them, you make yourself more attractive, more beneficial, more beneficent to them. And this is the unselfish love. This is a sort of divine love. This is a love supreme. And Socrates says that a true speech about love must gesture at that because that is the true love. And as he says earlier, the essence of a good speech is knowing what you're talking about. The essence of a good speech is telling the truth. And that is why Socrates can give this third speech with his head uncovered, because like Stesichorus, he is now telling the truth. And like Stesichorus, he has been moved from a condition of moral blindness to moral knowledge.
And I am going to convince him that he is loved.
All right, so there's tremendously complicated levels of symbolism going on here. In some ways, philosophical love is a response to the Delphic injunction over the Oracle of Delphi says, know thyself. Well, you can't know yourself in isolation. You can only know yourself through someone else. That's what love does for you. Your personality, your soul is constructed in speech, and it becomes evident to your lover and also to you in the process of pursuing this true love, this love that is interested in the good of the other. And by pursuing the good of the other, you actually, in the long run, and even in the short run, pursue your own good. This is the man that truly understands what's beneficial to himself and to those he loves. And Socrates has a kind of universal love. In this case, it's directed towards Phaedrus, but actually he does this for everyone. He allows anyone to construct their identity, and he tries to improve all that he encounters. This is the true universal love.
The joy and my bride in heaven.
So I think it's a mistake to describe platonic love as being asexual, being unemotional. That's not true at all. It's just that it's not primarily concerned with the meat in life. It's primarily concerned with soul. It's soul sex.
Oh, my friend, you don't know what this means to me. I'm going to the pleasure of a human being.
After giving this beautiful praise of love, this beautiful, pious, religious, sacred love, Socrates says, now that I'm on the topic, and now that I've explained to you what love is and how love works, I want to make a few observations about rhetoric, because it seems to me, son, that if you like Lysias' speech, there's something wrong with your appreciation of how speaking works, what speaking is for, and what makes a speech good. And here what we're doing is moving from instances, from examples of speeches, right, that get progressively better. They go from bronze to silver to gold. And also these three speeches correspond to the dark horse, the light horse, and the charioteer, the purely reasonable person that has complete control, a divine, godlike control over his emotions. Well, he says, let's move from the examples of speech to the essence of speech. What makes a speech good? And the first thing is that, like Lysias in that first speech, who is trying to seduce you, the sophists are the seducers of the demos. In other words, In the same way that you might construct a corrupt speech with the intention of seducing some individual, the sophists are constructing corrupt political speeches because the city is like the man, with the intention of seducing the demos, of taking control of Athens, but only for their own gratification. Socrates, being the image of the true lover and also the true politician, wants to persuade people, if he can, for their own benefit. His speeches tell the truth with the intention of improving both the individual and the society as a whole. Now, to speak well, you have to know a couple of things. Knowledge is the essence of good speech. First of all, you have to know what you're talking about.
I think I know.
Second of all, you have to know who you're talking to. You have to tailor your speech to the person that you are trying to persuade or the person you're trying to inform. And if possible, your speech should verge on and move towards dialectic.
What is he talking about?
And here's the idea. Socrates doesn't want to abandon dialectic for rhetoric. Rhetoric may be necessary sometimes, as was the case in persuading Phaedrus that he had the true conception of love. But the same tendency of dialectic towards breaking things apart and putting them back together will be found in the rhetorical exercises of Socrates. In other words, he tries to make his rhetoric verge upon dialectic. And this love of divisions and putting things together, splitting things up into their natural parts, and putting these natural parts together in a kind of harmony, in a kind of orderly procession, is what Socrates' conception of rhetoric always involves. And it's worth noting when you read this, how many dialectical opposites he's connecting here, bringing together. Let me give you some of the parts of the balancing act he's doing. The seducer is to the true lover, as the physical lover is to the mental lover, as the demagogue is to the golden politician, as the sophist is to the philosopher, as the human is to the divine, as the temporal is to the eternal, as rhetoric is to dialectic, as writing is to speech, as the first love of Lysias is to the last love of Socrates, as a donkey is to a horse, as the first speech is to the third speech, as the dark horse is to the white horse, as probability is to certainty, as appearance is to reality, as opinion is to knowledge, as belief is to truth, as passion is to reason, as body is to soul. You're getting the idea? He's creating a sort of logical view, and all of the gears and all of the wheels started to close in on each other. You realize they mesh just perfectly. Well, this is something like a kind of verbal counterpoint. It is a perfectly organized cosmos where everything is juxtaposed against its opposite to create a completely harmonious connection of opposites. And isn't this what the organization and the ideal state of the soul really is? In other words, the self is mirrored in speech. We exist in the realm of the logos. We are souls, not bodies.
You see, I live in plans. I know what it means to have kindness for a stranger.
And for that reason, we will find our identity, we will find ourselves in the kind of speech we make, and you will have a reflection of the soul of the speaker in someone else's speech. It is clear from Lysias' speech that he has a very disorderly soul, that the state of his chaotic soul is just like the state of his chaotic speech. And there's a one-to-one isomorphism, and exactly the opposite is true for Socrates. Socrates can juggle 15 or 20 or 30 different antinomies. There's your body and soul, truth and falsehood, reason and passion, all these things at the same time, and then bring them together like the conductor of an orchestra. And you can't imagine a more literally musical speech. Socrates says in the Republic that we must be trained in both gymnastics and the muses. Well, the muses are here. The muse of poetry has taken control of him. Remember that he said that lyric poetry was a kind of divine madness? No one constructs something like this, sitting down and logically cogitating. You need reason, of course, but you need more than that. You need divine inspiration, you need divine madness.
The bottom line is, we need hell, I need. I'm a mess without.
And look at how Socrates has clearly instantiated this divine madness. He talks about the connection between mantic and manic. Manic in Greek means insane. Mantic means prophetic. It's only a change of one letter. And this is always very important to the Greeks, that a prophecy or being divinely inspired is just one step away from being crazy.
I miss you so damn much. I miss being with you. I miss your laugh. I miss your scent.
Take it easy, champ. Why don't you stop talking for a while?
So Socrates says, look, I am divinely inspired. I can tell. Look, I'm breaking into these diaphragms. So he's divinely inspired. He has that prophetic gift. In addition to that, it's a purgation. He said that those rituals and those rites which allows you to be absolved of your sins, well, this third speech is such a purgation. Remember what his first speech was like? That inferior treatment of love, which distorted his own speech, distorted his own soul, and did harm to Phaedrus by giving him wrong ideas. Well, that was a sin. That was impiety. And Socrates' daimon told him, you must make amends here and now. So he is obviously divinely inspired. This is a divine sort of madness. The third element in this divine madness, lyric poetry.
Wait. A toast. Toast to long friendship.
So what we have here to finish up is Socrates is in love. But then again, Socrates was always in love, not just with Phaedrus. Socrates wishes only what is good for others. And that means that Socrates would have done this for anyone. And what did he do for Phaedrus? He brought him from a condition of ignorance to a condition of knowledge. He helped organize his soul. And Phaedrus at the end says, you know, I thought Lysias was a fine man and I thought he was a fine speaker, but I'm afraid he'll cut a very poor figure now that I have seen your soul and I have seen your speech. I am much more persuaded by you. And of course, all of nature chimes in. The cicadas have been talking all afternoon. They've been making, the locusts that make those noises on summers. And Socrates makes the point that the cicadas used to be men, but they loved the muses so much and they loved singing and poetry so much that they forgot to eat and they died. But the muses really liked the fact that they were so devoted to the muses, so they made bugs out of them that sing all the time. So of course, we're bringing in all kinds of lyric elements, the harmony of nature and of the soul. There's no change when Socrates moves outside the city because there's no distinction between nomos and phusis. There's one universal law of love, which is the same as the law of rhetoric. Organize your soul and improve the chaos within.
And listen to me, you are not evil, you are good.
Now, at the end of this exercise, and this might be called a hymn to love. In other words, this is clearly sacred music. Not in the sense that you sing it, although I somehow suspected you could sing it. Phaedrus points out, well, the sun is now set, Socrates, meaning that the heat of passion is gone, that reason has become more important, and we have now created an internal order within our souls. And Socrates says, okay, now at the last we would move from poetry to philosophy. The sun is set, and Socrates has educated his Phaedrus, and Phaedrus now has an improved soul. There's one final thing that we have to do to finish off our philosophical journey. Remember that I said also that there's a journey motif throughout all the dialogues, because Socrates is the new Odysseus. Well, we moved out of the city, now it's time to go back. Now that we've reached our goal, we've achieved our purpose. Socrates says, one more thing I want to teach you, one more thing that I have to do. I think we ought to say a prayer. The idea being, I think, that for Socrates, piety is the final stage of philosophical development. I know that it's not a popular idea now, but I think Socrates believed it, and I cannot imagine any other reason why this great dialogue would end on that sort of a note. I think the idea is that piety is the last stage of the growth of virtue, and the final virtue, the keystone to all the others, that holds all the others together, is a sense of obligation to the divinity. And of course, in this case, love acts as a bridge between heaven and earth. It connects us to the divinity. And the speech that he gives at the end, it's both simple and eloquent and effective, and it shows you how to pray as well as how to talk. It's really a beautiful idea. Let me read this to you.
Now, a surprise, a special occasion I've been saving.
Socrates says, Dear Pan and all the other gods that dwell in this place, grant that I may become fair within, and that such outward things as I may have may not war against the spirit within me. May I count him rich who is wise, and as for gold, may I possess so much of it as only a temperate man might bear and carry with him. Is there anything more that we can ask for, Phaedrus? The prayer contents me. And Phaedrus says, make it a prayer for me too, since friends have all things in common. And then they go back to the city. So I think the argument is that love reaches into the soul, organizes the soul, and divinizes the soul. It makes you divine because you encounter some image of a divinity in another that allows you to be something other than a cogito, a limited ego that is stuck within itself. We move to our real selves, we understand our real selves only when we are in the presence of some other soul. Our souls exist with reference to, with contrast to, with connection to other souls. This is the value of love, and the connection between love and rhetoric is that it provides us a bridge from one soul to the other, and the connection between heaven and earth is justified by the fact that is explained and articulated and made comprehensible by the fact that the gods have sent us this wonderful gift.
Wait! Wait! Where are you going?
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. And may God have mercy on your soul.
No. Fire is good. Fire is good. Yes, fire is our friend. Yes, I'll show you. I'll show you.